Hi everyone, Ashley here and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing this Slimline card that was made as a congratulations card featuring a lot of new Lawn Fawn products. And the scene is set so that you have this cute mouse sitting at his typewriter or her typewriter, writing out a lot of cute little congratulations messages on these little notes that are being held by the other mice that are sort of flying into the air. So without further ado, let's get into the card making. I've gone ahead and stamped out a whole bunch of images from Lawn Fawn, and if you want to know the exact names of the stamp sets that I used, make sure to check out the description box below the video, where I will always list all of the names of the stamp sets. And I used a few stamp sets for this one and just kind of pulled all the different images that I wanted to use on the card and stamped them out onto some Neenah Solar White paper, which is a really nice paper for Copic coloring. I also used a Copic friendly black ink to make sure that that ink doesn't smear as I color it with the Copic markers. So I went ahead and colored in the desk brown with a few different shades of brown Copic markers, and now I'm going ahead and coloring in the typewriter with a few different shades of red. And for this card, I chose to just use a few different shades of rainbow themed colors for all of the different objects. So as you'll see going through, I colored in a few things kind of with a red, some with an orange, a green, a blue, and I believe a violet. For the little pieces of paper, all I'm doing to color them in is outlining the inside of the paper with a very light brown marker. I think it's E000. And this just kind of gives them a little bit of interest so that they're not a completely flat white. They've got a little bit going on, but it's still not too much. Now for each of these small images that I'm coloring, I used, I think, 2 shades of color for each one. So for the red, I used 2 shades of red, for the orange, 2 shades of orange, and so on. And I just start with putting on the dark shade, and then I blend it out with the light shade. And since these images are pretty small, it works pretty well just to use 2 colors. You don't really need 3 because you get enough dimension with just the 2 colors in such a small space that you wouldn't really be able to squeeze in a 3rd shade anyway. So you get pretty good dimension just from having 2, and it fills out those small spaces fairly nicely. I really love those cute banner images. Those came in one of Lawn Fawn's newer sets. As of editing this video, it was fairly newly released, and it came in a little mini stamp set that had a bunch of sort of office-themed images, so that's also where this chair is from that I'm coloring in purple now, and a few of the other little sort of office-themed images too, like the little cup of pen, pencil, and scissors, the little mug, and the little plant to go on a desk. So I thought that these little accessory images are so cute, and I especially love the banner because I just feel like it's so versatile. You could use that banner image on so many different types of cards. It doesn't have to be an office-themed card at all. It could really be any card. So I really love that image, and I'm sure I'll be using it on a lot of cards in the future. So now that I've colored in a lot of these cute little images with different colors, like I mentioned, sort of rainbow themed, I'm going ahead and coloring in all the mice as well. And I made sure to use a few different shades for the mice. I didn't want them all to be the same. So for some of them, I used a couple cool gray shades. For some of them, I used a couple warm gray shades. And then for others, I used some different types of brown shades. And again, for each one, because they are so small, I'm just using 2 shades, so a dark and a light. And I'm taking the dark and kind of going around the outer edge of the mouse's face and kind of in towards the ears. And then using the light shade to kind of blend it in towards the center. And I just like kind of having the center of the face be a little bit more highlighted, sort of like a light is shining on it. I think my cat Luna noticed I was coloring critters, so she had to come and give her seal of approval. So that's why you might see some gray fur walking back and forth on the screen there. So I'm just finishing with a couple more of these mice, and I actually don't end up using all of them on the card. They don't fit in, all of them, but it's good when you have a few extras. You can always put them aside and keep them for a future card. So I never mind sort of stamping out a little bit more than I actually end up using because it's good to have extras. I always hate having to go back and stamp more images because I don't feel like I have enough, so I always try to avoid that. So for the mice, I'm also just coloring in their little noses and ears with a couple pink shades just to fill those spaces in, and then all of the coloring will be done. So I've gone ahead off camera and cut out a few pieces for my card. I have a Slimline card base just with white cardstock. I took some Spiffy Speckles paper in that yellow shade and cut out a large Slimline rectangle die. A large Slimline rectangle using the Lawn Fawn die. I also cut out a piece of Woodgrain brown cardstock and just put that on the bottom to look like floor. Finally, I cut out a piece of white cardstock with this really nice postage stamp kind of style of die. This is by Heffy Doodle. I believe it comes in a set called the Mail Slimline dies or Mini Mail or something like that. I think Mini Mail. Again, check in that video description for the exact name. The cool thing is that it comes as it'll cut out the entire rectangle, so it normally wouldn't have the inner space cut out, but I just used another rectangle die to cut out the inner space and turn it into a frame. So that's kind of a good tip if you have any kind of funky looking border dies or kind of shape dies that you want to go from solid to frame. All you have to do is cut out the middle, and that makes them become a frame rather than a solid shape. So that's what I did with that postage stamp shaped die. Okay, so now that all of those pieces are adhered together and onto my card base, I'm going ahead and laying out all of the rest of the images where I want them. And what I like to do when I'm building scene cards like this is, especially when I'm using foam, I put the foam on the back of each image, so little foam squares, but I don't release the release paper yet. So I put the foam squares on, leave the release paper on so they're not sticky on the back, and then I just sort of put them on my card where I think I want them to be. And this way I can kind of align everything exactly where it should go, and kind of fiddle around with things until I get them to look the way that I really want. And then I can just go through and start releasing the release paper and sticking everything down exactly in place. So you can see now I've sort of laid everything out. I'm happy with the positioning, and I'm going to start going through and taking that release paper off and just sticking the images down one by one. And I really like using my craft tweezers as I'm doing this. I find it such a good and handy tool for scene cards that are intricate, because when things are sort of being placed in the need to be placed in an exact position, it's good to kind of get your fingers out of the way and just be able to see exactly where it's going. And I really love that the craft tweezers let you do that. So I'm just getting down to the bottom here, sticking down that chair, and then with that, the card will be complete. So I'll just bring it a little bit closer so you can see some of the details. Apologies that my cat Luna loves it as well. She's going to be getting in the way a little bit. But yeah, you can see all those cute notes sort of flying into the air with that cute little mouse at the bottom, just typing them all out. So I think this is a really sweet card for some happy messages, and hopefully it will make the recipient smile. So that is it. That is the card for today. I hope you enjoyed. Please take a look down in the description box below for more details. Check out other videos on my channel if you'd like to see more. Also head over to my Instagram account where I share a lot more cards than here. The information for that is also down in that description box. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!